Have you ever eaten crisps or so in front of TV and then you noticed that when you were reaching for that next crisp or so that the whole packet was already empty and then you felt really ashamed of yourself? How do we finally stop overeating? So the first tip would be to eat small portions. One of the blue zones, so the blue zones basically are the countries in which they have found that people who live there actually live the longest and the healthiest, and Okinawa is one of those. And what they basically do that makes them eat less is that they have really small portions. And there was an interesting study where participants ate a bowl of soup. However, they didn't know that this bowl of soup was actually filled up from beneath the table. The bowl never got empty because it always was refilled. And interestingly, they actually had to stop the study because the participants didn't notice that they were eating so much because they thought they were just eating a portion. And that just goes to show how much portion sizes actually make us eat. And then the second tip would be that we want to make sure that we chew slowly because it takes some time, about 30 minutes, for the signal that tells your brain that you're satiated to actually reach your brain. And if you eat very quickly, then by that time, after 30 minutes, you will have eaten way more than you actually would have needed to. And then the third tip would be that after you've overeaten, we often think that the more harsh we are with ourselves, the more we criticize ourselves, the more motivated we will be to change. However, there are plenty of studies that show that when we are in a better mood, we actually make better food choices. And of course, when we beat ourselves up, we don't necessarily feel good. And this makes a lot of sense that we would tend to overeat when we feel bad, because if you think about any bad habit, the reason why we engage in bad habits is because we want to feel good as quickly as possible. And if we already feel good, then we don't have this need to actually engage in that bad habit as much because we already feel good. However, if we feel bad, we will be more likely to engage in that bad habit because we want a quick fix when it comes to our mood. I think one reason why when we're in a better mood we make better decisions is that the prefrontal cortex, this brain region up here which is there for decision making, needs a lot of energy to function. And when we beat ourselves up, we don't necessarily feel very energetic, do we? We usually then feel very low energy. And then the fourth tip would be that you want to avoid emulsifiers which are contained in processed food. So what emulsifiers do is that they strip away the lining of our gut, and therefore these neurons retract deeper into our gut, which make signals such as CKK, which tell our brain that we feel satiated to never be deployed. And then the fifth tip, in general, just avoid processed foods because food industries know exactly the perfect ratio of sugar and fat that makes us feel very addicted. And in a study they actually found with both obesity-prone rats and a strain of rats that was raised to be obesity-resistant, usually the obesity-resistant rats would eat less than the obesity-prone rats. However, when it came to processed foods, both the obesity-prone rat and the obesity-resistant rat would eat a really big amount because this was so addictive. So especially with processed foods, we tend to overeat the most. So if you want to know how to stop eating processed foods and junk food, then you can watch this video here.